been on bikes since I was about 5. I remember a very distinct moment where my sister helped me get off my training wheels. It was a damaging affair. I hurt myself well, but I think that's where I really caught the bug. It was not so much when I actually got riding the bike, but was falling all of the times before I got riding the bike. As I started looking at more and more bikes, you start to realize, okay, they have their own stories. And then there's also the story of the individual bike itself. Like mine, somebody had stolen my bike and left it behind. The bike we're working on here with this documentary is essentially one that I found in a dumpster. So then once I start peeling away what's there and what's underneath it, I start to see more of, okay, there's what the bike was, and then there's what the bike wants to be. When people come to me and say, oh, I want a bike, I go, okay, what do you want to do with the bike? I stopped asking less and less about what do you want the bike to be and more, what do you want to do with the bike? Because no matter what, once you actually get your hands on a bike and say, okay, it's the right size, it'll generally fit what the person wants it to do, you have to ask the question, what does the bike want to be? Or what's the bike best going to be? And what is it that the person wants to use it for? And there's kind of a compromise that ends up happening there. The thing that I like about bikes is that there's two sides to it. There is this part of it that very much exploits the artist within me, and then there's this other part of it that it is very utilitarian. It has a purpose. When I am working on a bike, I'm constantly being torn between those two things, and it's kind of who I am as a human being, as well as I like walking that very fine line between it being a piece of art that is also extremely useful and that serves a certain function. There's a freedom to it. There's a huge freedom to working on bikes in the fact that you can take it all the way down to its base layer. I could even take the frame apart if I wanted to, especially with like an old steel bike. I could take the frame apart and re-weld it into whatever I wanted. It is this pliable piece of machinery that has a very simple concept that runs it, and I can make use of it in whatever way I want. Be it, with extremely high-end parts, or be it simply like a fantastic color scheme. Everybody can express themselves in whatever way they want, and I can essentially, my goal is to merge the individual and the medium. Every bike, in and of itself, is just like a relationship. It requires that give and that take a bit. I started with this bike, pulling it out from behind that dumpster and starting to peel it away. And along the way, you reach things that are really easy to take out and are really straightforward, and then there's other things that you have to problem solve and find creative ways to work with. At the end of the day, you want the most highly tuned bike you can find, right? But every bike has its limitations, and it's about finding a way to exploit those limitations. And about making compromises along the way about certain things that, this bike is never going to be the lightest bike in the world, but it will work very well. Patience is a huge part of it, because especially with working with older bikes, metal seizes, and so you have to work that. You have to leave it soaking overnight and come back in the morning and see if things are going to work out or not. I would look at the idea of building a bike as a story of empowerment rather than redemption. I know when I was first diagnosed with epilepsy and had the license taken away from me, I had this sense of like I was disempowered in a way, and I was shocked actually at that point and looking at myself and be like, I am that reliant on a car that I actually don't know how I'm going to go about my day-to-day life. The bike unto itself is man's probably humblest and most spectacular machine. So any bike that I kind of approach, it's to, again, find that humble nature and make the most of it. Will I ever stop riding bikes? If I have to. Otherwise, why would I? My name is Lee Cookson, and I run a little outfit called Humble Bikes.